Right. We're rolling. Go ahead. Start us.
Oh, I thought we were testing it again with this.
No, we're good.
Oh, we're just gonna go. Never mind, we are not testing that thing. We're doing this for real. All right. Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the Disorganized Religion podcast here at Heritage United Methodist Church. I am Matt Horan, the pastor here at Heritage, and I am joined by some partners in crime.
I'm Eric Johnson. I'm on staff here at Heritage United Methodist. Online content and adult discipleship. Been part of this team for about 3 years now, and I'm really excited to see where this podcast goes.
I'm a little nervous about where it might go, but excited is also a good word.
Right.
Also, and if you're watching your audio device, he's on your left, he's on my right. But then to your right, my left is...
I am Deshaun Jones. I'm a member at Mount Olive AME in Clearwater. I'm one of Heritage's sister churches. I'm a student, a math major at Howard University.
Wait, what? You're a math major?
I am.
Did you lose a bet?
No.
What? Who is making you become a math major? Did you choose that yourself?
I did.
That is the worst. My dad wanted me to be a doctor when I first started college, and so I did the chemistry for majors class, and there was so much math in that, I became a creative writing major just to run from the math. Math is just the worst.
That you realize now we're going to get emails from math majors and...
That's true. My email address is ericj@heritageumc.com, so let us know how you feel about math. I'm not sure we can have math in a podcast about Jesus because they're like opposites. Jesus is the opposite of math. I'm sorry, Deshaun. Go ahead and finish what you were saying about how you're called into ministry, even though you're a fan of math.
I am also a licentiate at Mount Olive, and I'm in the ordination process.
That's a big...
Did you say licentiate?
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, what does that mean?
I have a license to preach.
Oh. Licentiate. Say it again?
Licentiate.
Licentiate. It sounds like licentiousness. What is
I
like?
don't know what
that means either. That's a thing, though.
What is that?
You're the English major.
I know I am. That's really embarrassing for me right now. Licentiousness. If you're licentious. Hey Google.
Right, moving on.
What does licentious mean? I just listened to you guys laughing at me. Didn't even hear. Ah.
That's not the word we were going for.
I'm pretty sure that was too far away for the microphone to catch that.
Yeah.
The Google machine says that licentious is not a thing you want to be.
No.
So let's be clear.
Promiscuous, I think, was...
I think promiscuous is one of the words that Google said. So what are you again?
A licentiate.
A licentiate, as opposed to licentious,
right.
which he's not. Definitely not that. Okay. Well, strong start, everybody. Well done. Introduce yourselves. This is going to be a bang-up job by all of us, I'm sure. But I did want to see what you guys are made of, right? So I want to see if you guys really do have the, have the skills required to be the podcast ninjas that I think we all aspire to be. So I thought about what is the most difficult thing that I could possibly put before you. What is the most difficult place one might choose to go that really would be a test of all that they're made of? And so I thought of the most obvious choice, which is going to IKEA. Going to IKEA is the worst thing, apart from having a root canal with no anesthesia that you could do. So I'm going to see what you guys are made of by asking you some questions about IKEA. There was a recent article in Newsweek where someone took a friend who spoke Swedish. Right? If you're from Sweden, you speak
Swedish, yeah.
Like the fish. Or the chef.
Oh, right. Me, 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 me.
He's funny, and the fish are delicious. They're probably not either of them are Swedish, probably. Anyway, so this person spoke Swedish. And
if you're Swedish, it's Matt Horan. It's Matt H at Heritage.
Right. If I say anything anti-Swede. So the article is written in Newsweek by someone who brought a friend who speaks Swedish to IKEA to translate for them the names of the items for sale at IKEA. So I'm going to give you some of the names of some of these items to see if you can tell me what you think they mean and if you can remotely get it close. To give you a hand, I'm going to make it multiple choice.
Okay.
So I'm going to say this word. I'm going to say an approximation of this word in my best English Swedish accent.
Yeah, right.
And we'll see how we do. So the first one is an Angslili.
Yep.
Hold on,
exactly.
I'll get there. Angslilja. An Angslilja.
Right.
It is a duvet cover. You know what a duvet is, right? It's like
It's a cover that goes over duvets.
you guys are uncultured swine. It is a thing. I believe it is a thing that goes over like another blanket. Like it's like a cover of a blanket that like kind of like buttons together, right? Isn't that a duvet cover?
Why would you cover a blanket? Like you stuff a blanket inside a pocket?
Go home later. Ask your wife why people put duvet covers on their
blankets.
blankets,
All right.
and get back to us on that. I know a lot of things. I do not know why a person would need to do that. But there's a lot of things you'll learn when you get married. I think that I learned what one is. I don't know if I learned why you need it. I learned what the dust ruffle is. You know what a dust ruffle is?
No.
No.
Okay. So that's the thing that you put around like the side of your bed, like
Oh, to
covers
hide
the
all
box
the-
spring,
hide all
hide
the
all the
stuff.
stuff that you've shoved under your bed that you don't want
Oh.
anyone to see if people are coming over. You shove it all under there, and the dust ruffle covers all those things that are under there. Or how about a trivet? You have a trivet. You have a trivet at home. You know what it is?
Something to do with the game, Trivial Pursuit?
That is terrible. A trivet is that thing that you put on the table that you put hot stuff on so it doesn't burn your table.
Oh,
It's
hot
like
pad.
yeah.
A hot. So, well, if you want to sound like what you're talking about, you don't call it a hot pad. That sounds more like the thing you take the things out of the oven with.
Yeah, that's what we use.
Oven mitts, but it's not the mitt. It's like the little pad, right?
Is it bad form to just put it on an oven mitt on the table?
Probably. I think our wives would probably make a face at us.
I'll cook. The three of us.
Or
like-
Deshaun's future wife, who has not met yet. To all the women out there who are currently listening to the podcast, because I'm sure there are many of you, we have Deshaun is
tuned out by now.
You're right. He does not know what a duvet cover, a dust ruffle, or a trivet are, but he has got the raw skills, I think, to really be a good catch. So you'll train him on some things, and he'll be good to go. So, and he is available.
Yeah, you and I are probably beyond hope.
That's probably true. We've been worked on for decades now, and we're still. Next one is a sponge. If you buy a sponge at IKEA, you're buying a svampig. A svampig. So, did I even give you the answer for the first one? I didn't even ask the first one. Hold on. So, an Angslilja, is it an attention grabber, a merry lily, a coating of cinnamon, or angel songs?
I'm gonna go with Angel Song.
Angel songs.
I'm
strong
gonna go
pick.
with cinnamon.
Cinnamon. Both of you are incorrect. Well done. It is a merry lily. So what you learn in this article in Newsweek is that the names of these items for sale at IKEA have no relation to the actual thing you are buying at the IKEA. And you will see that pattern emerge as you discover what a svampig is when you guess what that means, because it's the name of a sponge available for sale at your local IKEA. Does it mean pickly, mushroomy, peppery, or oniony?
Zvampig?
It's one of those pre-used sponges. It has a little something already in it.
Gently used.
Gently used, right. It
I'm gonna say
still has
oniony.
I would go with oniony.
oniony. Strong choice, but wrong. Again, mushroomy. You want your sponge nice and mushroomy.
Of course.
When you're gonna
Thankfully,
do
it has nothing to do with.
once again, nothing to do with
Yeah, I
sponges.
like my sponge with a little fungi in it.
That's right. Yeah. It's not really a sponge until it's got some miles underneath. Next one is a ceiling fan. A ceiling fan called a molnigat. A molnigat. Does it mean cloud cover, sunbeam, moonlight, or a shooting star? Molnigat. The ceiling fan named Molnigat. Isn't that Thor's hammer?
No.
No, it's not. It's something different. All right, so what is a Molnigat?
I don't know, maybe Moonlight?
He says moonlight.
I'll go with shooting star.
Shooting star. Both incorrect. Once again, well done. It is cloud cover.
Of
Cloud
course.
cover.
Right.
We're on a roll.
Yep.
It's above your head, I guess. All of them above your head, so that doesn't even matter. Sunbeam, moonlight, shooting star, all above your head, cloud cover. Yeah, so that, once again, means nothing to help you understand what a ceiling fan, or why it's named that. Next one, a table lamp. A table lamp called the Arsted. The Arsted. Is it a month, a season, a year, or a decade?
Ooh, it's a time thing, huh?
Some kind of time thing with your table lamp.
Let's go with a decade. It's the longest one there.
I'll say year.
You're hoping that your lamp lasts a long time, right? You're both incorrect. Once again, nicely done. It is a season.
Ugh.
A season. You guys are those people that
Felt
would
good
try to
about
go into the IKEA and get stuck in the circuitous path around the IKEA. They don't let you leave.
To get through.
It takes you an Arsted to get
Arsted.
through. It's actually a season. So it takes you a whole Arsted to get through the IKEA because they won't let you leave. You can't go to aisle 4 and get yourself a soup ladle. You have to go through the entire thing and see all the trivets and the dust ruffles and the ceiling
Yeah,
fans.
you go make a day out of it.
You make that's right. Pack a lunch. You're gonna get hungry. All that they'll sell you some Swedish meatballs,
Yeah.
which I think are just called the Swedish meatballs. They don't even give that a
Are they
cool
just
name.
meatballs in Sweden?
Be curious to know how you say meatball in Swedish.
That's not one on here.
In fact, I bet there's a decent chance that isn't even a Swedish thing, and we've just made that. Like people think that the pizza's Italian food. Not so sure that it is. Okay, next one is an armchair called the Poang. And I give it an extra ing because there's 2 N's. Poanng.
Dang.
Does it mean on target, on time, on point, or on vacation?
Clearly on point.
Let's go with on target.
Wow. One of you got one right. Nice job. It is in fact on point.
Oh.
Eric Johnson gets the square. Nicely
Nice.
done. All right. So we have, between the two of you, you have one correct guess so far. Next one is a sleeper sofa. A sleeper sofa called the Frihetten. The Frihetten. There might be some in there. Frihet. I don't even know how you say it. Frihetten. Does it mean freedom, fearless, flexible, or faithful? A little alliteration for you in your answers.
Let's go with flexible.
Yeah, I think flexible too.
That's a strong guess because it's the sleeper sofa. It's both a sofa and a bed.
Right.
Flexibility. Both wrong. Sorry. It means freedom. Not entirely sure why you would call a sofa bed freedom, but you do. Maybe you can stretch out a little bit more if you turn it from the sofa into the bed. You can kind of, and then you can watch Braveheart
Right. Isn't that what he yells?
while you're on the bed. Oh, I guess you watch it on the couch too. You're right.
Frihetten?
Right.
That's what
Right, Deshaun, you know why.
I don't.
Well, you've seen Braveheart, right?
No. But I know Mel Gibson's in it.
Okay. So that's terrible. So some future episode we're gonna have to make Deshaun watch Braveheart and then give us a full report.
That could be a whole segment, the movies that Deshaun hasn't seen.
Oh man, yes. Right, because I'll have you know that my wife and I have been trying to make sure that our daughters, before they leave the coop entirely, have seen all the important cultural phenomenon movies that they need to have seen before they leave. And to be completely honest, I have not had them watch Braveheart yet, but that's going on the list. So we're gonna get that done.
Frihetten?
Yeah, so it actually means freedom. Yep. So feel the freedom of the sleeper sofa at IKEA. Last one, and this is just great. The last one is the island stovetop. You know that thing you can put on if you have like an island in the kitchen, you can cook some stuff on there too. Right? I guess you can buy that from IKEA and have it added to your kitchen. It's called the Blixtsnabb.
Oh, of course.
The Blixtsnabb.
I was just going to say that.
Oh, you knew that?
Yeah, I knew that one. I know
You knew
this
that one. Do you have the Blixtsnabb in your home?
No.
Oh, but you covet it though,
Yes,
probably.
yeah, I have. Yeah.
I've always thought the Swiss is a different country altogether. The Swedish use the letter X well in some of these
And
words.
extra
Yeah.
consonants, too.
Yeah.
They do string
Put
a
'em
string
together,
of consonants together like no one else's business. It's true. I would challenge the Swiss to use as many consonants in a row as the Swedish do.
2 B's in a row.
So, would you say that a Blixtsnabb
Yes.
is thunder, lightning, strong wind, or a rain shower?
Let's go with a strong wind.
No, it's clearly a rain shower.
That is a strong guess by both of you. Both incorrect. A Blixtsnabb is obviously lightning. Connection between island stovetops and lightning. Not entirely sure. Once again, it proves the fact that there is no correlation at all between the words from Sweden they give to these things.
Would you be like the ultimate Lightning hockey fan if you had your license plate said Blixtsnabb on it?
Oh my gosh, we have got to get this word in front of the Lightning people. How awesome the jersey that says Blixtsnabb across the front. That would sell out in a heartbeat. That would be flying off the shelves. The Blixtsnabb jersey.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious.
I'm sure they'll call us right back.
That'd be, you know, I do. I do. That's right. We get some credit for that. We should probably sell those on our podcast. Give it like a website or whatever, and make some money off that.
Yeah, we could trademark it.
All right. Well, you're welcome to the Lightning for this product placement moment in the Disorganized Religion podcast. Even though, I got to be honest though, I'm actually Blixtsnabb phobic. I have a significant Blixtsnabb phobia. It all happened to me in one moment. I know when it happened. Back when I was an English teacher, I delivered pizza during the summers because English teachers make the bank. And I'm leaving the pizza place to deliver my pizzas. I put them on the top of the car to unlock my door of my 91 Nissan Stanza. I called it George the Stanza. And the lightning strikes the pizza place. I'm like 50 feet, it felt like 50 feet away from this lightning strike. It's like lightning and the thunder at the same exact time. Doesn't have time to travel anywhere because it's right in front of it. I felt like my hair stood up. Back when I had hair, it was right. It's like the finger of God went down and could have said to me, "Tag, you're done." And ever since, like if it's lightning outside, I have to like get up some courage to like make a run to my car. It's anxiety inducing. My family all kind of thinks it's pretty funny.
Do you think God's like trying to make up for it? Like he missed you on the first time?
Could be. He was distracted.
He's waiting for you.
He's trying to perfect the kill.
Something happened off the thing. Like, wait, what? And I was gone. And they already missed me. He's like, well, so you're lucky there, punk. You need to go ahead and go into ministry to pay me back for that. So anyway, so that's I think we could talk about the Bible later. I think introducing the word Blixtsnabb to people is probably the most high quality thing we will do with this whole entire podcast. But I digress.
You think you could work it into a sermon?
Challenge accepted. See what he can do. So speaking of working into sermons, the sermon yesterday was the beginning of a 3-part series where we're working on helping people see the value of testimony and sharing their story. It's good to be able to make the case for your faith, to do apologetics, and to explain how a person can become a follower of Jesus Christ. But there is something super powerful about sharing your story, your experience of Jesus Christ coming into your life, changing your life, giving you a new trajectory, and a life change. That's why it's called being born again. It's not like a attitude adjustment, a slight course correction. It is like a new life. Old life is gone. New life has begun. It is a powerful story to share when someone can talk about the difference that God's made in their lives. And it doesn't even have to be the time you came to Christ at first. It can be any time that you felt God work in your life, teaching you something, pointing you in a direction, helping you serve someone in a powerful way. So we're working on that, and we're using as the backdrop against that the relationship between Paul and James. Before we get into it, what would you say your guys' first impressions are of James and Paul? Eric, give me your best James take.
James. I guess I always think of him as the jealous younger brother, the one who...
That's right. Why can't you be more like your brother? He is God incarnate! I cannot be more like my brother!
Right. I feel bad for him.
Me too.
To grow up with that and, to always have that over your, overshadowing your own story and your own legacy and who you are.
You think Jesus Jesus always made his bed? Jesus always made his bed, did his chores.
Did he get his hand-me-downs?
For the dog.
His hand-me-down robes.
Sandals.
I got to have him walk in Jesus' sandals.
Literally walking in the steps of Jesus. Literally. I got his shoes.
So,
and he gets the new stuff. I get the hand-me-down shoes from Jesus.
Yeah. So I always felt bad for James, and he always gets that tag after his. It's not just he's James. He's James,
the brother of brother.
Yeah. So, yeah.
That's rough.
So that's sort of my impression of James.
Yeah. Deshaun, give me your impression of Paul.
My impression of Paul is that he's an outsider. He was, originally so antithetical to the Jesus movement. He was a persecutor of Christians, and now he's kind of been brought into the fold. He's got some great doctrine that takes place in those New Testament letters. But yeah, I think he's an outsider for the most part.
That's a Great point. Great word about that, because, and that really is the sort of the thing that kind of overshadows the whole relationship between Paul and James. When I read the Bible, when people read the Bible, I think we tend to assume continuity, assume harmony, right? And I think we forget sometimes that these people meet this guy. They think he's the Messiah. Other people have come along. They thought were the Messiah. Got killed. Movement died. Here's another one. But this one has done some miraculous things. They're beginning to buy in. Then he's killed. They're crushed. Then he's back. Then they're excited. Then he's gone again. And now they're crushed again. And the Holy Spirit comes. And now they're all encouraged. And they're filled with boldness. And they go out and they talk about Jesus. And then they begin this movement. And you got to think, they're wondering, like, what the heck just happened to us? It takes them a little time to work out, like, what does this mean? What do we do with this? How do we apply this in our lives? It wasn't really for hundreds of years later till we kind of drew a line in the sand and said, this is what we believe. Council of Nicaea, we kind of put together the final draft of the creed, right? The Nicene Creed, and this is what we believe. But it took some time to work it all out and try things out and see if this was working and get advice. You have Paul writing to all these different churches, answering their questions. They're trying to figure out how to, apply what this guy said in his life to all the different situations. So this is not the smoothest season for the Christian church, right? Its beginning. Sometimes I think it's amazing that it even made it out of the first century in the first place. One of the things that makes it amazing is that you had these two leaders that were at odds so often, that were kind of the major leaders of this early movement. Whenever there was a person who, was a Messiah and they were killed, a relative took over. That's usually what would happen. It would die out, but not before a relative had the chance to try to keep it going. And the same thing happened with Jesus. He is killed, and there's that one part in the Gospels where Jesus says that he asks Peter, "Who do people say that I am?" And he says, "You're the Christ, the Son of the living God." And he says, "This has been revealed to you by God, and upon this rock I build my church." Well, some have interpreted that to mean that Peter is in charge. Others have interpreted it to mean that the thing that he said was the rock upon which the church is built, that Jesus is the Christ. But what you really have there is that's the one time that anyone can really see that Peter was put in charge. The rest of the time you talk about who's in charge of the early church, it's James. James is the unchallenged leader of the Jerusalem church, the mother church. In other writings, he's called the bishop of bishops. People are called bishops of places. He was called the bishop of bishops, and everyone had this amazing reference for him. So Paul comes along, right? Paul, and I ran into this cool story. That's a terrible story, but cool to find, where it's a story that isn't in the Bible. The book that it is from does not exist anymore, but it's quoted by other writers in the first century, and so we have a little snippet here and there of these writings by a guy named Clement, who was the leader of the Roman Church after Peter died, and he writes this series of stories called the Recognitions, and one of the stories, he talks about this guy called the enemy. How the enemy confronts James in the temple. It becomes violent. He throws him down the steps. James has to be carried away to safety. And then Gamaliel, who you encounter in the book of Acts, is the secret Christian who's in the Jewish ruling council. Well, in the Recognitions, he gets a message to James saying that he knows who this guy is, that he works for Gamaliel, the Jewish high priest, and has been tasked with getting rid of the Christians. He says he's a man from Tarsus, and his name is Saul. And I saw that, I was like, whoa, this paints a whole new picture. Saul was about this Christian hunting thing for a long time before you even get to it in the Bible. And so when you get to the Bible, you've seen, what do they think of Paul when he first says, "Hey, I'm one of you now"? They're not having it.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like, are you out of your mind? We want nothing to do with you, right?
Yeah, you think you've been to some bad church meetings.
Not here, obviously, not here, other places, right? Yeah.
Guy walks in and throws you down the steps.
I've never been thrown downstairs before, that's true. I have that going for me.
Then comes back later and says,
"I want to be a part of
Never
this."
mind, I'm in.
I'm in.
Right. So you have Paul now comes to Christ and wants to be a part of the apostles.
Yeah, right.
But you think about it, right? And so he begins to share the gospel, and people are coming to Christ through Paul's ministry. especially Gentiles, right? And so after a while, he begins to lead people to Christ, and the whole idea of getting them to become Jewish and getting them to, honor the temple sacrifice system and be circumcised and doing the pilgrimages back to Jerusalem every once in a while, it seems so foreign to Paul and to the people he's leading to Christ, because they haven't needed that, right? The Holy Spirit is still filling them, and they're doing miraculous things, people are being healed. And so James calls him back to Jerusalem to talk to them and sort of answer for what he's doing. Because remember, James knows, James is probably wearing Jesus' shoes, right? He grew up with Jesus, wearing the hand-me-downs, played in the same sandbox, whatever that you did back then. He knows this guy, and here's this other guy, an expert in Jesus, talking about him, and James knows that Jesus did not forsake the law. He said he came to complete the law. He raised the bar for what the law required of us, and he was reverent of the temple. Like, he wanted to clean it out and get rid of all the people who were profiting off of the sale of, or the money changers and whatnot. All that was some was kicked back to the priests who were profiting off of the temple. And Jesus was enraged by that, right? And so he was zealous for the house of the Lord, zealous for the Jewish system, and was the Messiah sent to the Jews. He even has that one moment when the woman encounters Jesus, and he says, what is it about? Dogs are not allowed to
eat crumbs from the master's
right,
table.
Yeah, the crumbs from the master's table go to the dogs, right? And you read that and you're like, oh, Jesus, that wasn't very nice, right? But he was sent to the people of Israel, and
so James feels called to share Jesus' ministry, this new movement, with the Jewish people. He believes that's why Jesus came.
Yeah.
He was the Messiah for the Jesus people. They're still God's chosen people. So he feels called to that. And Paul's just out there rocking the boat.
Right. Yeah. You can imagine James like, who do you think you are? Changing these things that my brother said. You think about back to the outsider thing Deshaun mentioned before. In order to be an apostle, remember when Judas dies, they replace him. And what is the first criterion that you needed to be an apostle? You had to be there the whole time from the very beginning. So Paul isn't seen as apostle material according to their standards, and you see him giving his resume over and over and over again in his letters. Like, am I not an apostle? Did I not suffer for the gospel? Did I not see Jesus too? But
yeah, I don't think you can go from executioner to apostle.
It's not a smooth segue.
leap.
Right. Yeah. So it's a rocky journey to go from executor of Christians to Christian yourself, who's leading other people to become them now. So we've been using that relationship and that story to show that even this difficult relationship and these two stories that seem to be divergent paths for the gospel can be stories that ultimately lead to 2 billion people coming to Christ, right? So we're going to see the power of every story, no matter how bad it might have been at the beginning or at some point along the way. God can redeem it and use it in mighty ways. So we're going to look at that for the next couple of weeks, and I'm excited to share those things with everybody as we get more and more people back into the worship services in the first place. I'm hopeful that we are nearing the end of mask wearing and distance sitting and all that other stuff that we've been doing during the pandemic. I'm so happy to see a possible end to that being near. In fact, perhaps even as soon as this weekend. So I'm excited about that for sure. So I do, again, I'm excited about the possibilities for what lies before us as we finish the pandemic, get back into life together in the church. So thanks so much for joining us for our podcast today. Like I said, we're going to be going back to Saul and James and their conflict and their interesting relationship for the next couple of weeks in worship, talking about the power of our stories and sharing them, and having our story added to the global story of God's work to build the kingdom of God on earth as it is in heaven. And then we're going to get back into some of the Bible nerdy stuff that, I really enjoy, and Eric and Deshaun are somewhat into, and some people find superfluous and unnecessary, which is the same word.
That's nice.
But it's
Good synonym.
I thank you. I like that word a lot. But so I will leave out some of those things, but the podcast is the time for the stuff on the cutting room floor. Didn't make the cut into the sermon, but it's still good stuff. So thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate you being a part of the Disorganized Religion podcast. If you have some ideas for us, the things you would like us to cover, feel free to email us. I'm at matth@heritageumc.com. Eric is ericj@heritageumc.com. Deshaun's email address is, he can give it out if he wants to, but we're not paying him for this, like Eric and I are getting paid. So don't send him an email. Send it to me, Eric. He's just doing this for free because he's a good person. So Sea Girls, he is a good catch. I'm telling you, he's generous and kind and thoughtful and doesn't know what a trivet is, but other than that, he's a good catch. So take care. God bless. We'll see you guys again next time.
See you guys.
See ya.